Okay, so we've done our ATP splitting, and now we're going to go to the first one. This one is the ATP-PC system. So the way you've got to look at it is driving a car. When you start the car, that's like the ATP splitting happening. When you go into first gear, that's your ATP-PC system. Second gear, you're onto lactic acid system, and then the aerobic system at the end. However, it's important to know that you can't go and you can't switch between the systems. It happens in a certain order. When it comes to the ATP-PC system and the lactic acid system, that's a system that you only use when you're using anaerobically, so without oxygen. It's only the aerobic system that you use with oxygen, okay? So, as you can remember from what I said before, we have our adenosine diphosphate, okay? So ADP, di, meaning 2. We've only got 2 phosphates left over, and we've got our inorganic phosphate over here, okay? And we need to resynthesize this, we need to put that onto there. So before I go into it, it's important to know that the ATP-PC system lasts 8 to 10 seconds. It is anaerobic, it's a quick resynthesis, and there is no byproduct. So there's no lactic acid or pyruvic acid that comes off this. There is no byproducts at all. So what happens is we have a substance called phosphocreatine in our body. And what happens is this needs to be broken down to produce energy. So to break this down, we have another enzyme, and that is called creatine kinase. And what happens is this enzyme breaks the phosphocreatine down into phosphate and creatine. And this breakdown here of phosphocreatine into phosphate and creatine, what that creates is something called free energy, or just energy. And what this energy does is it attaches the inorganic phosphate, or PI, back onto the ADP to make ATP. So that is the first way of resynthesizing this. And that only lasts for 8 to 10 seconds. And the reason why bodybuilders take high levels of creatine, that is because they want to recover a lot faster. So for example, if you're a bodybuilder, you take creatine after your workout, the recovery time will be a lot shorter, which means they can work out even more after a short duration of time, which will enhance muscle growth. And that's why bodybuilders take higher levels of creatine. When it comes to phosphocreatine, it's important to know the abbreviation as well, because in an exam it might be written down differently. So it can also be known as creatine phosphate, it can be written down as CR, it can be written down as PC, or it can be written down as PCR as well. So it's important to know these different abbreviations. So that's the first energy system, and that lasts for 8 to 10 seconds. If you're doing a sport and it goes over 8 to 10 seconds, such as a 200-meter runner, that's when the lactic acid system will kick in, or the lactate system, and that is the one that I will talk about next.